The abandoned train station no one returns from. The video started with a shaking camera and loud breathing. The screen was dark, except for a tiny beam of light from a dying flashlight. I could hear someone whispering, "Please, please don't let it find me." Then the camera turned, and for 1 second we saw it. A tall, twisted shadow standing at the far end of the abandoned train platform. It didn't move like a person. It twitched like it was glitching. And then, it turned its head toward the camera, even though it didn't have a face. The person holding the camera gasped. The shadow stretched, longer, until it reached the ceiling. And in a slow, crackling voice that sounded like broken speakers it said, "You shouldn't have come back." The camera dropped. The video cut off. The mystery began. The story begins. 3 days earlier, everything was normal. My name is Daniel, and I run a small YouTube channel called Urban Ghost Hunters. Most of our videos got less than 200 views. But we liked exploring abandoned places, old schools, empty churches, forgotten factories. Then one night we got a message. It said, "Go to the Ora Junction train station. Bring a camera. Midnight. You will see something." We thought it was a prank. But the account that sent it had no name, no profile picture, and was created only 5 minutes before sending the message. My friend Leah said, "Let's go! What's the worst that could happen?" My other friend Malik laughed. "If it's fake, we at least get content." So we packed our cameras and set out at 11:30 p.m. The road to Ora Junction was dark and silent. No cars. No humans. Even the wind felt scared. When we reached the old train station, the air felt heavy, like the whole place was holding its breath. The building was huge but broken, with long cracks on the walls. The train tracks were rusty, covered with dried leaves. A single old lamp flickered beside the platform. "This place looks cursed," Leah whispered. We started filming. At first, nothing happened, just empty hallways, broken benches, and graffiti. We joked around, trying to scare each other. The low moments. Calm. Almost boring. Until we walked into the ticket room. That was the first time something felt wrong. There were footprints on the dusty floor. Fresh footprints. But not normal ones. These were long and thin, like someone had dragged their feet. But the strange thing was, the footprints appeared out of nowhere. There was no beginning. No ending. Just the middle. "We should go," Malik said, suddenly serious. I agreed, but Leah pushed forward. "No, look! There's something written on the wall." She shone her light on the cracked surface. The words were scratched in deep. "Turn around before it sees you." My heart started beating fast. I slowly turned on my camera and pointed it at the doorway behind us. Nothing. Just empty darkness. We continued exploring. The air grew colder. Our lights flickered. We heard faint footsteps behind us, but every time we turned, nothing was there. Then came the high moment, the moment that changed everything. We reached the main train platform. At the far end, a train stood completely still. A train that shouldn't exist. Because the station had been closed for 20 years. And yet, there it was. Lights off. Doors open. Waiting. Leah whispered, "Guys, it wasn't here when we arrived." Malik stepped back. No, we need to leave. Now." But before any of us could move, the train lights flicked on. All of them. Bright. Blinding. And the ground started vibrating like something alive had woken up underneath the station. We froze. Then, from inside the train, we heard a voice. "All passengers. Board now." But the train was empty. Completely empty. Still, the voice kept calling. Suddenly, the doors began to close on their own. Slam. 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 One after another. Then our flashlight died. And we finally saw it. A shadowy figure standing inside the train, staring at us. The air turned icy. The vibration grew louder. The train engine screamed. And then, the shadow began stepping out of the train. The shadow stepped out of the train. Its body didn't move like a human. It stretched and snapped back, like something was pulling it from different directions. Every time it moved, the lights flickered, and the whole station groaned like it was alive and in pain. We didn't breathe. We didn't blink. We couldn't. The shadow took one slow step onto the platform, then another. And then, it turned its head toward us, even though it had no face at all. The air became so cold that white mist came from our mouths. Malik grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't move." But the shadow already knew we were there. It took one more step, and the whole platform cracked under its foot. Then, "Run!" Leah screamed. We turned and ran back into the dark hallway of the station as the shadow creature let out a deep, vibrating growl that shook dust from the ceiling. Less extreme, but terrifying. Our footsteps echoed through the empty halls. The more we ran, the more the building seemed to twist. Corridors we passed before were suddenly different. Doors that had been open were now shut. Signs were flipped the wrong way. "It's like the place is changing," I said, breathing hard. Malik checked the camera. "It's messing with the video too. The footage keeps skipping." Leah pushed open a small maintenance door, and we all squeezed in. Malik quietly locked it behind us. Inside the tiny room, we sat in silence, listening. At first, nothing. Just darkness and our shaky breathing. Then, thud, thud, thud. Slow, heavy footsteps outside the door. The shadow was looking for us. Leah covered her mouth with both hands, trying not to make a sound. Malik held his camera tight against his chest. I pointed my flashlight at the floor, scared the light might shine through any crack. The footsteps stopped. We didn't dare move. For a long moment, all we heard was a low, humming sound, almost like whispering. Like the station itself was trying to talk. Then the footsteps faded away into the distance. We waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Finally, I whispered, "It's gone." We stepped out of the maintenance room quietly. But the hallway wasn't the same hallway we entered. The floor tiles were cracked. The walls were covered in long scratch marks. And the lights we passed earlier, were now all shattered. "This is impossible," Leah whispered. "We've only been in there for a few minutes." That's when we realized something horrible. Time wasn't working normally inside this station. The slow rise of terror. We followed the hallway until we reached the main lobby. The giant clock on the wall was spinning backwards so fast it looked like a blur. "This place is cursed," Malik said. "We need to get out before." He didn't finish. Because the station suddenly went silent. Not normal silent. Dead silent. Like the air was gone. Then all at once, the station lights turned red. Every single one. A deep alarm began to ring, slow and distorted. "Bung buh." Leah grabbed my hand. "Why are the lights red? What does that mean?" Before I could answer, the station speakers cracked on with a deafening screech. Then a voice, cold, robotic, broken, said, "Attention! New passengers detected." Malik's face went pale. "It's talking about us." The voice continued, "Scheduled train arrival, now." We heard a loud rumble outside. A train was arriving. But remember, no trains had come here for 20 years. The red lights flickered. Dust rained from the ceiling. The platform began to vibrate again, harder than before. We ran toward the exit doors. But when we reached them, they were gone. Just gone. The wall was sealed shut, as if the doors had never existed. Leah started to cry. "We're trapped. Dan, we're trapped." Then we heard it. The train. Not stopping. Not slowing. Charging into the station at full speed. And something was standing in front of it. A human shape. Waving at us. But not warning us. Calling us. The train screeched. The red lights exploded. The floor split open beneath us, and from the darkness below, a massive shadow began to rise. The massive shadow rose from the crack in the floor, climbing up like a giant made of smoke. It twisted around itself, forming long arms, sharp fingers, and a tall hollow head with no face at all. The whole station shook as it rose higher and higher. Leah screamed and fell to the ground. Malik grabbed her arm and pulled her up. "We have to move!" he shouted. The giant shadow turned toward us. The air around it felt heavy, like it was pulling all the warmth out of the station. My lungs felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. The train that had rushed into the station screeched to a stop, sparks flying everywhere. The human-shaped figure standing in front of it didn't move. It just kept waving at us with a slow, creepy motion, as if inviting us to step closer. We backed away. Then the giant shadow opened its mouth, or the place where a mouth should be, and let out a deep growl that shook the whole platform. The lights burst. The ground cracked more. And the train slowly opened its doors, by itself. That's when everything went silent again. The fall into darkness, less extreme. A soft wind blew across the platform. It was strange, gentle and warm, like the complete opposite of the terror around us. For a second, it felt almost safe. The giant shadow stopped moving. The human-shaped figure stopped waving. Even the broken station seemed to freeze. "What's happening?" Leah whispered. "I don't know," I said. "But maybe we can use this moment to get away." Malik pointed toward the other end of the platform. "Look! There's a service tunnel. We didn't see it before." We ran toward the tunnel as quietly as we could. The darkness felt safer than staying near the shadow monster. The tunnel was narrow and dusty, with old pipes running along the ceiling. Our footsteps echoed softly. "This tunnel should lead outside," Malik said. "Stations always have maintenance exits." We didn't talk much. Every sound made us jump. Every shadow looked suspicious. The tunnel twisted several times, getting tighter and darker. Water dripped from above. The smell of rust filled the air. At one point, the floor slanted downward, and the darkness grew so deep that even our flashlight couldn't cut through it. "I don't like this," Leah whispered. "Why is it getting darker?" I didn't answer. Because something didn't feel right. The high point, the truth revealed. We finally reached a metal door at the end of the tunnel. A faded sign above it said, "Emergency exit, platform access." "Platform?" Malik frowned. "Not outside?" I slowly pushed the door open. And my heart nearly stopped. We stepped back onto the same exact platform we had run from. Same cracked floor. Same broken benches. Same shattered lights. But now, the giant shadow was gone. The red lights were gone. The train was gone. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. "No," Leah whispered. "No." We walked for minutes. The tunnel turned so many times. "How are we back here?" I checked my camera. The screen was frozen. The timer wasn't moving. It was stuck on the exact second the shadow rose from the floor. Time wasn't broken. We were. "This place is playing with us," Malik whispered. "It doesn't want us to leave." Before I could respond, the station speakers clicked on again. "Passengers. Final call." Leah grabbed my arm. "Dan, look." The train was back. Lights on. Doors open. Waiting. But this time, the human-shaped figure wasn't inside. It was standing behind us. We turned slowly. It was close enough to touch. No face. No eyes. Just a smooth, pale head. And a long smile carved into where its mouth should be. It lifted its hand. And pointed at the train. The platform vibrated again. The station began to twist like melting metal. The air turned freezing cold. And then the speaker voice whispered directly into our ears. "You belong here now." The doors of the train slammed shut. The floor split open beneath our feet. We fell.